Hello everyone. Welcome to the CPPR dialogue on the future of Vizhinjam port, enhancing India's maritime role and addressing key challenges. Today, we will be discussing the challenges and opportunities of the Vizhinjam International Transshipment Deepwater Multipurpose Seaport, hailed as India's first deepwater container transshipment port, which was inaugurated on July 12, 2024. Today, we have with us as speakers Mr. Arun Kumar Gupta and Dr. R.P. Pradhan. Center for Public Policy Research is an independent public policy think tank based out of Kochi, in the Indian state of Kerala. Our engagement in public policy that began in 2004 has initiated open dialogue, policy changes, and institutional transformation in the areas of international relations and security, livelihood, education, urban reform, health, governance, and law. I am Maalavika, Research Associate at CPPR, your moderator for today's discussion. Now, I'd like to introduce our panelists, Mr. Arun Kumar Gupta and Dr. R.P. Pradhan. Mr. Arun Kumar Gupta is Independent Director of the Dredging Corporation of India Limited. He is the ex-chairman and managing director of the Shipping Corporation of India Limited, and prior to becoming chair and managing director, he was functioning as Director, Technical and Offshore Services since October 2010. He also worked as managing director, Indian Ports Global Limited. Mr. Gupta has made the Indian maritime sector proud by taking over operations at Shahid Beheshti Port of Chabahar in December 2018. He has about 45 years of experience in leading and managing challenging projects and assignments in various divisions of Shipping Corporation of India. Mr. Gupta is also a marine engineer from Marine Engineering College and possesses first-class engineer certificate of competency from the Ministry of Transport, Government of India. We welcome you, sir. Now, I would like to welcome Dr. R.P. Pradhan, Distinguished Fellow at CPPR. Dr. R.P. Pradhan is a professor at the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, BITS Pilani, KK Birla, Goa campus. He is a PhD in International Relations and largely works on political economy. His current teaching and research focus involves international relations, migration and labor market, international trade and development, development economics, maritime studies, and blue economy. Professor Pradhan received the Rogelio Sinan Application Award from the Embassy of Panama in 1997 and had served as an expert member of the Commonwealth Fellowship for Economics during 2006 to 2010. He was trustee, governing board member at the International Center Goa for 4 years and has completed 2 ICSSR major projects. Apart from his publications and editorial responsibilities, Professor Pradhan has delivered several invited lectures abroad in several European universities and Southeast Asian universities. Welcome, Dr. Pradhan, to the webinar. Now, before we go over to our speakers, I would like to give a short introduction of the topic. The Vizhinjam port, located near Trivandrum in Kerala, is an ambitious project taken up by the government of Kerala in collaboration with the Adani Group. It is designed primarily to cater to container transshipment besides multi-purpose and break bulk cargo. The port is currently being developed in a landlord model with a public-private partnership component on a design, build, finance, operate, and transfer basis. The port holds immense significance strategically, economically, and geopolitically. Vizhinjam Port is situated just 10 nautical miles away from a crucial international shipping route connecting Europe, the Persian Gulf, and the Far East. Its position allows it to serve as a cost-effective transshipment hub, reducing reliance on foreign ports like Colombo. The port is expected to stimulate regional economic growth by attracting investments, creating jobs, and fostering industries related to construction, services, and logistics. It strengthens India's strategic presence in the Indian Ocean, supporting regional security and economic integration. Vizhinjam Port is central to India's strategy to reduce dependence on foreign ports for transshipment, thereby cutting costs and improving trade efficiency. Its strategic location positions India as a key player in global shipping, making it a pivotal hub in the Indian Ocean region. On 13 September, the port received MSC Claude Gerardet, the biggest vessel to berth at an Indian port and the largest ship ever to arrive in South Asia. However, there are challenges associated with the project, including its economic viability, environmental concerns, construction delays, and socio-political challenges. It is imperative to discuss the feasibility of the project and how it is going to contribute effectively to the development of India's maritime trade in the context of India's Maritime Amrit Kal Vision 2047. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Arun Gupta to give his introductory remarks on the port project, setting the stage for our exploration of the Vizhinjam project and its opportunities and challenges. Please, sir. Sir, please unmute yourself. We are unable to hear you.
Yeah. Thank you, Maalavika, for the wonderful introduction and setting the tone of today's discussions. Well, at the outset, little disclaimer on the pronunciation of the port. Well, I think it is Vizhinjam. Am I right? So
In Malayalam, we say Vizhinjam, sir, but you
Vizhinjam.
are almost right.
Okay. So Vizhinjam port development and coming on the stage of Indian maritime sector, I would say, is something wonderful to have happened. This is, I would say, a great example of collaboration between Kerala government and the Adani Group. And as we know, Adani Group is, I would say, the biggest port operator now in the region, not only in India, but also it is spreading its wings abroad. I won't be exaggerating if I say Adani hai to mumkin hai. So he is a go-getter, and well, we have seen Mundra, what Mundra is, and it's one of the biggest ports in India. Well, Mundra is everything, but Vizhinjam is being developed basically for an international transshipment hub. It will focus only on container transshipment. It has an advantage of its geographical location. As Maalavika very rightly said, it is barely 10 kilometers, 10 nautical miles away from the international shipping lane. So it gives a big advantage. And of course, deep drafted. So I would say in the Indian maritime sector, this is something wonderful to have happened. It will reduce our dependence on foreign ports for transshipment. Uh, we all are aware that the logistic cost in India is about 13% of the GDP, while in comparison with USA, it is mere 7%. So there is urgent need to bring this cost down. If you translate into money, this is equivalent to USD 400 billion. So it's a big amount. So we look forward. I think trials have been very successful. As Maalavika just now said, about 5 vessels have already called, big ones have already called Vizhinjam. And we look forward for a grand inauguration in December 2024.
Thank you, sir, for such an insightful introductory remark. Now, I invite Dr. R.P. Pradhan to give us a brief understanding of the topic.
Okay. Thank you, Maalavika. Let me share my screen so that, yeah. I think is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it is.
Very good morning, and thank you CPPR for initiating a debate on a very new development that happened in India last month. Vizhinjam Port, my pronunciation again, pardon me, but we are all pan-India framework, so please bear with me. Vizhinjam Port is a very, it's a new development in the Indian seaport architect. And as a maritime scholar, I feel privileged to talk about the feasibility or the future directions of the Vizhinjam Port that has come into operation or that is in the process of being operated, being operational in quickly. Additional privilege is that CPPR has always been providing very enriching platforms. Thank you, CPPR, Dr. Dhanraj, Mr. Paul, Maalavika, the entire team. Very enriching experience. Additional benefit after so many years, I think 8 years. I'm meeting Mr. Arun Gupta. He has spent his life in the sea, sea lanes and the shipping lanes and the seaports, and had the privilege of heading the Chabahar port mission of India in Iran, which is a very difficult task, but very successfully he managed, and we are doing well, expanding ourselves. So in that privileged context and background, let me talk about the Vizhinjam port. What does it hold for us? I changed my slide. I suppose it is visible. Now, I wanted to contextualize the location of Vizhinjam port. And if you see here now in the slide, India map, and then 6 new ports are identified in pink color. And around that, if you have in Bangladesh, Matarbari port, that's in a green icon. Then Singapore, Tuas port is a new port. And Sabang port, Indonesia and India jointly are planning to develop that. In South Africa down below, also there's a new port that has come. So India, 6 ports, altogether 11 new ports are proposed. 6 ports
Sir,
are various stages.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you, but could you share it in slideshow mode, the PPT? Yeah, it's done, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So if you can see these the icons in the India map, now 6 new ports are at various stages of being operational. Birmingham is the newest one. It is holding a huge prospect. So locationally, when I look at it, the new development in the southernmost corner of India, it is not a standalone development. It is trying to communicate with the international waters. That means to Dubai, to Colombo, to Singapore, to Malaysia, and the Bay of Bengal as a whole. So we have a very, very distinct locational advantage of the port. In terms of features, along with the new ports that are coming into operation soon in the next coming few years, several grand scale projects Government of India has scaled up as pipeline that will create an infrastructural ability on the part of the port economy of India. It was greatly needed. We were always underperforming, and then gradually we have realized that it is necessary that we have to build up ourselves, create better and international infrastructure so that we become a viable seaport economy for ourselves and for the international community and the movement of goods and services around the world. It'll definitely create jobs. As far as since I'm a maritime academic, I look at the holistic picture of it. Is that Government of India, the last 10 years in particular, 2015 onwards, we have lined up several visionary documents like Sagar Mala, Sagar Tat Samriddhi Yojana, Jal Marg Vikas Yojana, and so on. In addition to the policy documents and their corresponding action plans, we are also offered, or we are also opening up into many new directions through which the shipping sector or the port economies can have a real different aspect altogether. You have the Chabahar port, Mr. Gupta was heading it, and then international north-south transport corridor, and then recently in the last G20 meeting, India, Middle East, European economic corridor. Then you have the Eastern corridor. You have the in the northern sea. You have the what you call Arctic zone is also opening up, likely to open up shipping communications, shipping and movement in that sector. So not only we are creating infrastructure to cope with the international demands, but also we are adding our infrastructure so that the older ports of India, which are gradually becoming over-congested, they will have some opportunity to decongest themselves, and newer opportunities are smarter and more capable ones. That's a very, very welcome development for India. And if we contextualize the whole framework, looking at India, particularly the peninsular India, these are all icons that are color-coded and detailed here, is that how do I make my own seaport visible or communicable, communicating with the regional context and the international context? That's where I've tried to do it. And we are Vizhinjam port, not only 10 nautical miles away from the international waters, but it is facing West Asia, east coast of Africa, and then Southeast Asia. And next door is your Colombo port, which is doing very, very well. So we have then Bay of Bengal is also there. We have not only prospect, we have a very dynamic prospect that is available offered to us. I try to slightly model it around, and that's where when I look at it, Vizhinjam with the west coast of India, I'm trying to call it as the Arabian Sea trade triangle. If at all that becomes an economic model ever, it'll begin maybe soon after West Asia becomes little peaceful. Then I think more economic engagements may emerge, and that's where you can see that the seaports of West Asia and the west coast of Indian ports will communicate more keenly and closely, and that's where Vizhinjam port is bound to be a beneficial infrastructure for us. On the other side, location of Vizhinjam is so interesting that it's the southernmost tip, so it can communicate with the west coast. It can at the same time communicate with the Bay of Bengal surrounding areas, or what we call the Beamsteak seaport corridors. So that prospect is also very much there. In addition to that, when I look at South Africa, we have something, our policy, ambitious policy is Sagarmala in South Africa. They're also modernizing their seaports, and they call it as Ocean Fakisa. So as we are developing, the surrounding regions are also equally developing, and that's where I think we have a very, very fruitful or meaningful development engagement that is likely to be emerging in the coming years, and that's where I feel. Additionally, I think all over the world, there is that smart port, green shipping, and net zero compatibility dynamics that is happening in a very, very big way. We have not shied away. We have collaborated 2019. Chennai port entered into a MOU with Vladivostok port in Russia, which is 13,000 kilometers away. And it has entered into a smart port agreement MOU with Vladivostok. So distance is not a matter. Your location, your business cycle, and number of such kind of opportunities that I think provide or create a changing dynamics. I think it has already been told that it is very well located. Major, it's like a mother port that will decongest the older ports of India. Also offer direct interaction with Colombo port, Singapore port, Malaysian ports, and the west coast. You have the Dubai port. All of them it'll interact. So it is providing a very, very beneficial opportunity. And features-wise, it's a deep water port. So definitely a better infrastructure. Challenges, if we look at it, any development for that matter, we have to look at next 50 years, what is it going to do? So we have to make it smart. We have to definitely convert it into green shipping mode, where a lot of developments are happening in that direction. We have to have a business plan. It has to be profitable. And local people, they must have to be integrated into the port opportunities through proper scaling. Along with that, also, we have to balance the ecological concerns of the region. Any development for that matter will have some challenges, ecological challenges. We have to neutralize somewhere. Government of India and the government of Kerala must have to come together, join together to see the balance of it so that we have the benefit of development and we don't lose out at the ecological front. So with that opening remarks, I open the forum for the next step of interaction. Thank you. Thank you, Maalavika.
Thank you, Dr. Pradhan, for your wonderful insight. Now we will proceed to delve further into the topic during our discussion. Both Dr. Pradhan and Mr. Arun Gupta have laid a strong foundation with their introductory remarks, and now we will have the opportunity to explore the Vizhinjam port and its various factors from different angles and consider its implications for regional stability, global dynamics, and for the interests of other key stakeholders. So just to begin with the questions, my first question is to Mr. Arun Gupta. Sir, Pradhan sir, can you stop sharing the screen? I think it's still, yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir. So now moving on to questions. My first question is to Mr. Arun Gupta. Sir, now Vizhinjam Port is positioned strategically on India's southwest coast, and as Dr. Pradhan said, it holds a lot of potential to become a key hub in international maritime trade. Its location near major international shipping lanes also offer a competitive advantage, particularly for transshipment traffic. However, realizing this potential requires more than just infrastructure. It demands a well-planned strategy that integrates both domestic and international considerations. In this context, what strategic measures are being implemented to ensure that the port becomes a major hub of international maritime trade?
Malvika, your question is very long. Anyway, first, what is in my mind, I would like to address. Dr. Pradhan mentioned about Sabang in Indonesia. Well, I had a privilege of visiting Sabang as part of the government delegation. We had people, representatives from Andaman Nicobar Administration, National Security Council, MEA, and I represented the Shipping Ministry. A very strategic location. And RITES was a consultant, and we all gave our inputs to RITES, and RITES must have given their final report to the government. But since we are developing a transshipment hub, now a decision has been taken in Great Nicobar. I think India will not invest in Sabang. See, Sabang is very, very strategic. You can monitor the entire traffic passing through Malacca Strait. It is right in the geographical lane. So I just wanted to address it. I think Sabang Port, India's investment interest in that has been, well, with the news that we are going to develop a transshipment hub, a transshipment port in Great Nicobar, I think that is kept to rest. Now, coming back to Vizhinjam, well, benefits are immense, and what is being done to make it successful? I would say of all the ports Dr. Pradhan named, which are under development in Indian subcontinent, I don't think so any port has got those two essential requirements: deep draft and proximity to international shipping lane. Vizhinjam has got both of them. So this is one point which I wanted to make. Vadhavan is far, and it is still up north, and it will be deep drafted, but it is not in the international shipping lane. See, Colombo also enjoys the same advantage, deep draft, and absolutely no deviation from the international shipping lanes. Now, to further understand, as I was saying, in India, we have a population of 130 crore, lot of consumerism. Our EXIM trade is very high. What Colombo was doing, all the mainline vessels, let us understand how shipping works. They are mainline vessels, big vessels, 20,000, 15,000, 24,000 TEU vessels. So mainline vessels do not call small ports. They call the big ports, as we call the hub ports. The mainline vessel will call Colombo. They will drop containers and pick up containers. This concept in shipping parlance we call hub and spoke concept. The feeder vessels are the spokes, and there is a hub port. As very rightly Dr. Pradhan said, that Vizhinjam port is going to be the mother port. Now, presently, what is happening in Colombo? Colombo caters for all the spoke ports on the Indian coast, let it be west coast, east coast. It also caters to Chittagong, bit of Karachi. So we are developing Vizhinjam as a international transshipment terminal or international transshipment port. We are not looking at present in the first phase for definitely that it will have bulk vessels, it will have ro-ro vessels, it will have liquid vessels. Our focus is to make a space for ourselves in this Indian subcontinent as an international transshipment hub. What is required? Proximity to international shipping lanes and deep draft. Both the criteria Vizhinjam port is meeting. Now, what is to be done to make it successful? Well, I think with these two criteria made, equipment has already arrived, and trials are going on. And as I said, we expect inauguration somewhere in December. Now, what the port has to do? Port has to demonstrate if there's a gestation period, and port has to win the confidence of the customers. How? Efficiency. Time is money. See, in Mundra also it's a private port. Maybe the port tariffs are a bit high, but they cover it up by efficiency, the turnaround time. So in the initial period, in the gestation period, especially, we have to win the confidence of customers. I think in this direction, Vizhinjam port is already moving, and all the vessels which have called, apart from the project vessels which called, they just brought the cranes, but the commercial vessels which came with the containers and all, so those vessels belong to MSC. And as we know, MSC is a international shipping giant based in Geneva. They are a big Swiss company. Before I go a little further on this, again, I would like to share something which maybe you all are already aware, how container shipping works. A ship or any voyage can be profitable if the vessel is full. If I have a vessel of 20,000 TEUs and I cannot fill it up complete with 20,000 containers, then, well, it's a loss. It's always not possible to fill up the vessel completely, but that is an ideal situation and which all shipping companies target. So how the container shipping works? Mostly they work in consortium. And Adani Port has already roped in MSC, which is going to patronize the port, and MSC has already have agreement with other major shipping lines, Hyundai Merchant Marine, they are the Korean company, Zimline, and there are various other Evergreen. Zimline is Israeli, Evergreen is Taiwanese. So they have already, MSC is already collaborating with them. So what they do, they have an arrangement of slot sharing. Suppose it's a 20,000 TEU vessel, and MSC will be able to market 15,000, then 2-3,000 it will give it to Zim Lines, another 2-3,000 to Evergreen. So they are their slots. Similarly, if there is a vessel belonging to Evergreen, so their MSC will have slots. So this is called slot sharing arrangement. It is very important that the transportation of containers, the shipping companies in the containers business work in consortium. So that step has been taken by MSC themselves. And I'm very sure Vizhinjam port authorities will give special treatment to MSC, the windows and the tariffs, etc. They will give discounts on cargo-related charges, vessel-related charges. So I don't see any major problem, well, in becoming an international transshipment terminal. There are few things which are required. See, an international transshipment terminal does not depend much on the hinterland. Well, if side by side some business can be done, we have some hinterland, we have Tripur, and we have lot of sea products and all. So that exports can take place. Connectivity is to the National Highway 66 is issue. I believe agreement has already been made with NABARD Bank for this. But I have seen in Mundra, Adani doesn't wait. If government is taking time, Adani will execute themselves. I have seen this in Mundra, so I have no fear. Now, for a transshipment terminal to be successful, another aspect which I look at is that we must have bunkering facilities also. The vessel must be husbanded while she is discharging cargo, and bunker is one thing which the vessel requires regularly. And this bunker has to be at a cost-effective price. So far, Indian government's effort in providing bunkers, we have our own challenges, excise, customs, duty, but the bunker price should be as competitive as what we get in Fujairah or as we get in Singapore. When vessel calls Vizhinjam, it must do the cargo operations and also do the fueling. It should not be required that the vessel stops at another port only for bunkering. So along with the transshipment hub, Vizhinjam should become a bunkering hub also. So this is my little few comments on your questions. Please, Maalavika, let me know if I have addressed it properly or I have gone off track.
Sir, thank you so much. You have addressed it perfectly. Thank you, sir, for your insights. Now, I would like to move on to the next question. The next question is to Dr. Pradhan. Sir, the Government of India's maritime vision, which is articulated through initiatives such as Sagarmala and Sagar, is aimed at transforming India into a leading maritime power. While some aspects of Sagarmala and Sagar have fallen short of expectations, Vizhinjam Port has the potential to bridge these gaps by improving India's competitiveness in international maritime trade, reducing dependency on foreign transshipment hubs, and boosting regional influence. In this context, what ways will the port be able to contribute towards advancing the government's objectives regarding the growth of the maritime sector in India in general and with regard to Sagarmala and Sagar initiatives?
Thank you. It is a very challenging question, Maalavika, because you have too many aspects are associated with that. As you rightly observed, that we have too many vision, lot of wisdom, lot of vision, lot of planning, lot of roadmap. But when it comes to implementation of the visions, we very often fall short of, and that's a characteristic of most of the developing countries of the world, that they fall short and they continue to remain now behind. But nevertheless, I mean, if I look at it, Sagarmala project as a whole phenomena, last year, 2021, there was a parliamentary committee that was reviewing the progress of it, and they realized the findings are that they're far behind. But I'm not very unhappy. It's because India is like that. We are part of the whole process, slight development, but then invariably at the times of demand, India somehow reaches to the whole process. Vizhinjam case, we are, I think if I'm not mistaken, we are 5 years behind the deadline of delivery. Now, it was supposed to be delivered, commissioned in October 2019. We're 5 years behind. But nevertheless, there are too many challenges. And India is a very large country, a lot of people, a lot of challenges, political, economic, and capital demand, all of that is there. So it is in that context, when I look at it, some of these delays are, you can ignore them, but look at the prospects that it is talking about. Vizhinjam, as I talked about, the mother port, and Mr. Arun Gupta also described it, and you yourself also described it, that is going to be a hub, that it is going to communicate to the international transshipment process, and that's where it is going to create a new framework. Most of our cost and time delays and turnaround time and all of them, most of them are happening in India today because we do not have adequate draft of the ports. As a result, we have to send small vessels and then do the transshipment, and accordingly time becomes double, cost also becomes double. It is in that direction. It is, I think, the first major step from Government of India and from the Government of Kerala, that jointly they have come up with this Vizhinjam port. The additional strength I see here, the Adani Group is involved. I interact with a number of academic platforms in South Asia, all that. Most of them, they always ask me if at all Adanis would be interested to invest in Southeast Asia. Adanis have established themselves as a global port building brand value. They're there in Israel. Then last year, I was a visiting professor in Australia, Tasmania, and they also talked about Adani. So I think the private player coming into the picture, some of the delays that are expected to happen in the process are likely to be breached, because the private players are far more efficient, far more committed in terms of time, and also to the tune of investment that is happening, they'll be committed to earn the returns of their investments, and that's why they'll be. So I'm happy that they are involved and they will guide the whole process in a speedier manner and all that. The next thing that is happening is that we have the Mumbai port, we have the Gujarat coast, so Kandla and Mundra and all of them. If I look at Mundra, I think Mr. Arun Gupta also mentioned, Adani's claim that it is a state-of-the-art port. And I look at the vessel traffic, what the port does in terms of real-time business, that's where it is far more impressive, far more comparable than many of the international ports of the world, including in West Asia, including in Southeast Asia and all that. So they have created models which are creating, developmental processes, very efficient port developments, and that's why I'm very happy. Next thing is that I think having a new port is one part of it, but we have the infrastructure. How do we move forward? The route, the business plan, the ecosystem, overall ecosystem, it has to be profitable also. It has to be beneficial to state, local people, national government, and all of them. So, invariably, all of them have to be put in a single direction, or they have to be harmonized, normalized to look at what do we do from here, 2024, 2030, 2040, where are we? A lot of dynamic things are happening in the port sector, and that's why this new development, I suppose we must celebrate the development, but also at the same time take the responsibility of developing efficient business plans so that we communicate with the international community with profit, with efficiency, and with sensitivity to the ecological processes. Then only it'll become that part of it. I'm little doubtful that our efficiency in terms of converting good infrastructure into a profitable infrastructure, that part of it we slightly lack. But I think a lot of monitoring is also there. So hopefully the coming times will be as efficient and correspondingly negotiate these larger challenges that are happening. A lot of opportunities are also opening up in terms of international north-south transport corridor, in terms of, I think, Samudrayan also we are talking about. We are in a big transition time itself, very dynamic and transition time itself. And all these transitionary variables must have to be integrated, and each of them must have to be harmonized towards a profitable process. I suppose I addressed your question to some extent. Thank you, Maalavika.
Yes, sir, you did. Thank you for your insights. Now, moving forward, my next question is to Mr. Arun Gupta. Sir, what are the long-term economic benefits the port is expected to bring to the region? And how is the Port Authority working to maximize its impact on the local and national economies?
Well, maritime sector, especially not only for Kerala, but for India, has been our legacy. And functioning of Vizhinjam port will have a multiplier effect on Indian economy. First of all, as I said in the beginning, it is the logistic cost. The logistic cost will come down. Who bears this logistic cost? We consumers bear. So overall, it will have a huge impact on the logistic cost. If transshipment cost can be brought down. See, presently we are, let us accept that Colombo is well established, is the primary transshipment hub in the Indian Ocean region. And Vizhinjam addresses this key gap in India's port infrastructure. So apart from the logistic cost, there are other multiplier effects, what benefits which will come. See, port related, there'll be employment, not only for white collar people, but the blue collar also related to port. Equipment is there, operation of the equipment, cranes, etc., maintenance of cranes, that is one part. The port will have its own operating team, the traffic department. Then there'll be the consumers, the port users, the shipping lines, vessel husbanding. As I said, when the ship comes, it will need provisions, etc. So many things will be required to support the vessel. Then cargo related, we will need a container freight station, container yard, custom house, maybe a parking plaza. So many other small infrastructures. So it will create, I think, a lot of employment opportunities for the locals. But the biggest benefit, as I see, would be to bring down the transshipment cost, and it will align with Government of India's vision of Atmanirbhar, Viksit Bharat. Our dependence on Colombo port will drastically reduce. Whether SLPA, Sri Lanka Port Authority, agrees or does not agree, but I know they are very apprehensive about commissioning of Vizhinjam port.
Thank you, sir. So, moving forward, my next question is to Dr. Pradhan. Sir, what is your evaluation of the challenges pertaining to the economic and political expectations regarding the port? Because as we know, it faced a lot of controversy while it was being developed. It is still facing controversies. So, yeah, what is your evaluation of the challenges?
Yeah, thank you. First thing is that I'm a development economist, and then that's where I look at the profitability of infrastructure. So from that point of view, when I look at it, any new development, any new such infrastructure is an economic raw material. But then if I can imagine that if Singapore port wouldn't have been Singapore port as we see it today, then Singapore would have remained as a fishing village. We go to Singapore to experience the scale of development there. And it's a small, tiny island nation, but it is an international financial hub also. 7% of Singapore's GDP comes from there. So a small port or a hub port or a mother port, all of them are critical infrastructure towards a national development goal and agenda. So if I look at it from that point of view, these are necessary developments. We are 1.5 billion people, and we have to really take care of their consumption behavior. We have to also create jobs. We have to be efficient to survive. And particularly in a liberal economic order today, what it demands, market demands, is that your efficiency. And that's where what efficiency means, or what they call it in the new terminology for the port economy sector, the smart port and the green shipping format. We have a new baby at home, and this is the right time where all the features of the ports have to be converted into smart order. What I mean by smart order is your next door Cochin, they are rolling out the first indigenous hydrogen-powered electrical vessel. That's in the direction of green shipping mode. So if at all I look at the ecological challenges, environmental challenges, I'm sure Honawar port also, but now also there is a protest going on. Any such development, a lot of stakeholders, they come forward, protest for a variety of reasons. Somewhere we have to harmonize and move forward. Singapore is one such example where a lot of economic benefits the country has got, and that's the only resource they have. They have capitalized, monetized on that, and they have done well. So we have to look at it, how efficiently we manage it. Our only problem that I see is the too much of political interference, both at the local level, at the national level, regional level, many such parts. If at all we can keep some of these features, some of these infrastructures as efficient infrastructure models, has to be free from nuances that are not productive, then I think we will be able to balance it very well. Our next door is Colombo. Our next door is Singapore. Our next door is Dubai. So we are not operating at a time when we have a monopoly business. If at all I'm not efficient, the ships will pass by. They'll not come to me. So we are negotiating a challenging time. And that's why if we have a good infrastructure, we have to be efficient. That's the only efficiency, the only answer. I think economists understand it very well. They speak it out loudly. So that is where it has to be. It has to be in our business plan, and all of them have to be harmonized together. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That is actually such an insightful idea that we need to balance or the human needs and economic needs together. Now, moving on to my next question to Mr. Arun Gupta. Sir, is infrastructure the primary driver of maritime trade? And if not, what other factors play a crucial role in promoting and sustaining maritime trade?
See, as Dr. Pradhan rightly said, it is the infrastructure which matters. And I think in Vizhinjam, the RMQC's rail-mounted key cranes have already arrived, and correspondingly, these are the cranes which discharge cargo from the ship to the shore, and then the RTGs are there which place them in the container yard in the backup area. So I have no doubt that there'll be any lack of efficiency on part of Adani in Vizhinjam after having seen Mundra, which is a state-of-art port, and I am very sure Vizhinjam will compete with Jebel Ali of Dubai and with Singapore port and also Tanjung Pelapas. I have no doubt. Only, as I said in the beginning, they have to demonstrate their efficiencies. They have to give a good turnaround time. I don't think so congestion will be a problem. They are two berths, and they have to give attractive tariffs, give discounts to induce the trade. So, and also, again, I'll repeat, something has to be done to make it a bunkering hub also concurrently. And here, what Dr. Pradhan was saying is the bureaucracy. Lot of time it takes. Adani cannot do anything in this bunkering thing. It is Government of India has to take a call. We have to be as competitive as Fujairah or as Singapore in bunkering. No ship owner is going to make an additional call only for bunkers. Bunkers have to be supplied while cargo operations are going.
Thank you, sir. Now, on to my last question from our side. It is to Dr. Pradhan. What lessons can be drawn from the development of Vizhinjam Port? And how can we ensure that port development is integrated with broader ecosystem development that is existing beyond infrastructure alone, just like Arun Gupta sir just mentioned? And also, clubbing it with another question, what are the key elements that should be considered in fostering such an ecosystem?
It's Maalavika, indeed a difficult question actually. As an academic, and now I look at all angles. So first thing is that I talked about smart port, and Mr. Gupta also joined with the whole process. When we talk of smart port employs less people. It is an automated version for optimization of its output. So the moment you underemploy and become efficient, my neighborhood, if I see there's a huge infrastructure there in Vizhinjam Port and I'm not getting a job, then naturally my anxiety, my political affiliations, all of them become very, very active. And correspondingly, we will have a lot of hesitations. And I think all of us, we are familiar with that kind of a process. But what we have to look at it, we have to to harmonize. How do we harmonize all such kind of possible? There will be challenges, there will be protests, and there will be growth also. At the same time, they have to be neutralized. What did Singapore do? They try to harmonize the people, bring them in line. How do you bring them? You cannot force them to be in line. Instead, you talk to them. Be it the fishermen, be it the environmentalists, be it the mangrove aspect of it. But all of that, each of them indeed has ecological challenges. All of us, Wayanad, we saw also, we have a great development, but we have a great disaster also looming large, both sides. But then do we stop development? If at all we stop development, can we manage 1.5 billion people, their job aspirations, their economic needs? We cannot. So we have to be, there's a responsibility for the government of Kerala, for the intellectuals of Kerala, for CPPR, for the stakeholders and the government of India as a whole, that For some time, we are negotiating a very difficult time, both internally and externally also at the international level also. We are negotiating a very, very difficult time. We need growth, but we also need the sustainability. And that's where some of the blue economy features and how do we do it. A lot of technological solutions are available today for re-employing the waste that is emerging. So one part is that there has to be a continuous ongoing dialogue between central government, Kerala government, local stakeholders to, that we are talking to each other, we are sensitive to each other. The second part of it, ecological aspect of it, a lot of technological solutions are also emerging to re-plow the waste or re-plow some of the inefficient processes and make it a circular framework of economy. So now that I have the house ready, how do I live there? I have to decide. So now I have the infrastructure ready, the port ready. It has an opportunity to interact with all the regional players and become a mother port and hub port. Now, how much benefit I get out of it, we have to harmonize it. I think Singapore offers a good lesson. The next point I want to say is that the coming times, particularly I was looking at the global processes. Now, the worst of the enemies, the Americans and the Chinese. Now, the Los Angeles port and the Shanghai port, they have entered into a MOU for the first, by 2025, they're wanting to come to make it a green shipping corridor between Los Angeles port and Shanghai port. I mentioned last year I was in Australia for some as a academic responsibility, and the faculties there have been assigned to Australia if at all there is a possibility of green shipping corridor between these two destinations. I work with some of my Japanese friends. Now, Japan and Singapore, they're also interacting with each other. Japan and Singapore green shipping corridor has to be there. And these are smart ports, green shipping, net zero compliance. All of them are not imaginations, not political slogans. They're going to be real. If at all there is a green shipping corridor somewhere, then non-green shipping vessels will not be able to enter there. So we have a technology. That's what Cochin Shipyard I talked about. They have taken the initiative to roll out the first hydrogen-based indigenous vessel. So we have a technology responsibility. That's where academics also like us, scientists, academics, ecologists, all of them have to come together. India is negotiating a very difficult time frame, 2047. And now we are negotiating the Amrit Kal, where the academics, scientists, all of them have to talk up to look at the infrastructure that we have. How do we reduce the wastage? How do we reduce the ecological challenges of it, and yet make it competitive, efficient, and productive, so that we handle the economic challenges of it? I think that is an ongoing dialogue. It will not happen tomorrow, but I think it has to be continuously engaged, so that all of us will become sensitive that it's our port, our economy, our job requirement, our efficiency, so that India becomes a larger and most national. That the house is built. Let us leave it well. Let us leave it efficiently, so that we don't get washed away like Wayanad, nor we overdevelop, so that we don't take care of the local stakeholders and the fishermen and other people there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pradhan, for such insightful remarks. Now, we have a few questions from our audience in the YouTube channel. So I would like to post it to both of you. Both our guests are invited to give your comments on it. So the first question is, how important is rail and road connectivity from Trivandrum to trunk routes in Tamil Nadu, say Tirunelveli, so that upcountry container traffic can easily use the port of Trivandrum or Vizhinjam? Is transshipment enough, and is an import-export a huge opportunity?
Well, I'll take that question. See, let me remind everyone, all the viewers, that we are targeting Vizhinjam as an international transshipment hub. Okay. Now see what Dr. Pradhan was saying at Singapore. What happens? Containers are coming and backloading. There's no question of going out, Singapore does not have any industry, any hinterland. It is just on the international shipping lane. It is gifted with deep draft. So transshipment is taking place. Yes. So, but we cannot ignore our EXIM cargo. That is also an opportunity, and things are already in progress. As I said in the beginning, connectivity to National Highway 66, it is being worked upon. This National Highway 66 starts from Panvel, where I'm sitting in Navi Mumbai, very close to me, and it goes right up till Kanyakumari. So the job is in hand. We cannot put the horse before the cart. It will come. But please remember, we are developing primarily for transshipment. There, what we expect, containers will come, reshuffle will take place, and then again it will be reloaded back on small feeder vessels. Feeder vessels will come, bring the containers, discharge in Vizhinjam. Okay, the mainline vessel will take it. Then again, mainline vessel brings, it's like a distribution hub. Shunting ground, as we call it in railways. So that is a primary target, what we want to take away. Even Colombo doesn't have any industry, doesn't have any hinterland, nothing. But it's a big transshipment. So that is what is our focus. See, we want to be a major player in this subcontinent as far as international transshipment hub is concerned. Yes, we cannot ignore our EXIM cargo. That also is in mind. But first things first. I hope that addresses the question.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, Dr. Pradhan, do you have any insights on the question?
Yeah. One particular I wanted to rather is that Colombo Port is a wonderful infrastructure, but then a lot of reclaiming of the sea has also equally happened. China is involved. I have seen it myself, that a lot of reclaiming and all that. And when we look at mega projects with a lot of tampering with the nature, very often nature bites back. One tsunami, and then you may have, and it's too much of a. So now the other side, if I look at Scandinavian countries, they have a very useful model. I mean, which can be talked about. The Scandinavia, Sweden, for that matter, it's a large country, of course, but very less people live. But then they have 384 seaports, and academics are involved. Then SMA, that Swedish Maritime Authority, is involved in coordination of the planet. 384 seaports, in a country like Sweden, one would imagine that it is not needed. But then what they have done is that small ports, they have created a specialization of the ports. The bamboos will go into a particular port and coal will go in this direction. The highly specialized, small ones, and they have created, and in the process, they have also tried to negate or minimize the possibility of ecological challenges that may arise out of mega projects. So that is where, from the people side, I'm an academic, I look at development and productivity growth, but also I'm a human being. I stay somewhere, I stay next to Marmagawa Port. So if at all Marmagawa Port takes away my house or enters into the mangrove population in my region, causing me cloud burst, how good is this infrastructure? So somewhere I think we need a very serious dialogue on these aspects of it, and each of them, few major ports like Vizhinjam, and then we have to have small specialized ones, and possibly that may have lesser environmental challenges, if I can understand it right. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pradhan. Now, since we are running short on time, we'll just take one more question before we move over to closing the webinar. So the next question is also from our YouTube participants. The question is that the Indian central government is lacking its focus to see the potential and use it in the country's development. Is it just the Adani Group's responsibility, is the question mainly. So over to you, sir.
If I can respond, I think Adanis are one pillar of development. They're a partner only. I think the government of India. The government of India, has to be the main driver, and the provincial governments, be it Kerala, Goa, and Bengal, all of them, they have to be the stakeholders and the co-pilots. And if both the pilots in the cockpit, they don't join together, I think the flight is going to be landing us in trouble. But then it is far too much to expect that central government and the provincial governments have to harmonize, have to agree, because we know we are in India, all of us, we are part of this whole process. There's a political difference, there's a agenda difference also. So very often, sometimes we sabotage our own thing because we want to score a political mileage. So that is where I think what I would wonder, some of these prominent infrastructures that are emerging, be it some of the universities, be it some of the seaports, that are prospective to lead India into a state of prosperity. I think they have to be by law or by definition or by interface. They have to be insulated from the political agendas and concerns. The roadmap has to be independent of the political process. I think that's a very difficult task. I wonder if at all we can ever do that. But I think unless we do that, now that kind of a development that is required for India today may not happen. And that's where I think I join with the question, but then I have my own suggestions that somewhere you have to draw the line, sit down together. Yes, this is what has to happen. Andaman, for that matter, it's a big proposal, but then Congress party has its own challenges also. And they're accused that they're promoting the Chinese interests and all that. So who is accusing who, what? I'm not interested, but we have to look at it, the feasibility of it. Like Hambantota port, it is a disaster that Hambantota feasibility was not there, but then it was taken forward and then it landed Sri Lanka into a great challenge. So either we sit down together and work it out, or we have to face the consequences, negative consequences. I think that's my response. Thank you.
Thank you, Pradhan sir. Mr. Gupta, do you have any comments on this, or
what was your question? I didn't get your question properly.
Sure. So I'll just repeat it. So the question was from one of the participants in the YouTube live casting. And the question was that the Indian central government is lacking its focus to see the potential and use it in the country's development. Is it just the Adani Group's responsibility? So the person is asking if it's just Adani Group's responsibility to develop the port infrastructure and everything.
Okay. Well, Adani is delivering. They have proved themselves. And see, now the modern thing is efficiency has to come along with the private players. With the government setup, there's, I won't say inefficiencies, but you are asked to perform with your hands tied. You cannot take fast decisions. I've been part of the government for almost 40, 45 years. I know it. We are no less efficient, but we have to follow systems. I can't bypass. It's public money. The private fellow can take fast decisions. And that is what Adani has proved. It is not only Adani. It's very heartening to see that private port operators are coming up in India. JM Bakshi is doing very well. SR Ports. So, Sequel. Things are happening. And see, the government is also there. That's the model. For even any port, even for Vizhinjam port, there's a concession agreement with Kerala government. So, primary owner is Kerala government and they get their pound of flesh. So, I see nothing wrong. We cannot wait. Government has made enough efforts, enough time has been spent. We are, as Dr. Pradhan said, we are already 4-5 years behind on the model concession agreement. So it's a win-win situation for all. The landlord port model, that is what has to work. Efficiency is the key. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your insights. So now that we've come to the end of this session, I would like to thank Dr. R.P. Pradhan and Mr. Arun Gupta for such an enlightening session. And the session also shed light on many aspects of the port. And our guests have opined that the port needs to be a bunker port along with the transshipment port in order to be fully successful. And being a deep drafted port naturally, and also due to its international proximity, the port already inherently has characteristics that can lead it to its success. And mainline vessels, which have large TEUs that do not berth at small ports, will also be able to berth at Vizhinjam port, giving it inherent strategic advantages. So, along with that, good infrastructure and harmony with all the elements are required for the port to be successful. And for a country like India, which has a lot of political elements also in play, private players like Adani are important to speed up the process. So, thank you so much for such an enlightening session. And I would also like to thank our organizing team at CPPR, especially the communication team, for today's smooth conduct of the webinar. With this, we come to an end to today's webinar. Keep an eye on our YouTube and other social media channels for more engaging interaction. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you, Maalavika. A wonderful session. Arunji, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful
Thank
meeting
you
at a
for
long
giving me
time.
this opportunity.
Thank you.